So the December update dropped, and at this point the game really should have been called Halo Infinite Updates, because when is this game actually finished? This is clearly the purpose of the whole 10-year plan, to release pieces of the game through updates. We're a year in this game and there's still no fucking mission select menu. What the hell even was mission replay in your last update? This December update was thrown out the door months ahead of time, clearly a desperate move to boost Infinite's player base to maintain a positive outlook for their corporate masters by the end of the year. And there really isn't enough to talk about here, so I'm gonna take the opportunity to lay out why exactly people just aren't interested in this shit. And you know I'm gonna reference the same group of degenerates that yet again exhibit their selective amnesia every time 343 shit out another update, continuing to praise this mediocrity of a studio which only continue to navigate Halo into complete failure. In fact, these people routinely congregate on Twitter to praise 343 like it's their fucking religion, with blatant false positivity.
Oh my god, there's a fucking customs browser, dude. Holy shit!
343 has dropped a massive W.
The reason for that is because 343 underpromised and they over-delivered.
In a surprising turn of events,
They
343
released the custom games
underpromised
browser
and
20
massively
months ahead.
over-delivered.
Are you fucking kidding me?
NASA mission manager.
Those who pollute the domain of public discourse with positivity, 4343, are clearly corporate-sponsored mascots. This is all propaganda and you're paid in views for being positive about the game. I mean, just look at the Steam charts. Post-December update, Infinite is yet again dwindling with 7,000 players. For a free-to-play Halo, these numbers are fucking terrible. And I'm not sure it's doing too great on console either, as it fails to compete with other games. So it's incredible how these idiots are able to achieve a viewership over 7 times the current populace actually playing the game. Literally no one is playing this shit. These are the same 5-year-old men who showcased their lack of cognitive maturity when 343 debuted possibly the worst gameplay reveal ever of all time.
Here we go.
Oh, they did.
Oh, it's open world! It's fucking open world, dude! Oh!
I'd show you more, but I'd rather not cringe myself to death. My subjective opinion here is, if you are a man-child shill for this company, you are rewarded. That's the only way I can rationalize this disingenuous, thirsty behavior.
And let me remind you why your fan base is so subdivided. Imagine your studio released 6 consecutive mainline Halo disasters, all to horrible feedback and dying within a month. You released 2 garbage sequels that set your franchise up for complete failure. The MCC, which you didn't even make, didn't work for years. It's still broken to this day. You release a travesty of a TV show, which was such a massive insult and is so disconnected from the source material, it repulses your existing fan base. And Halo Infinite is the culmination to this list of crap, with possibly the worst campaign competing with Halo 5. Yet they parade all this bullshit like it's some massive success. And I'm not even sure they realize how bad they fucked up. All this in the space of 10 years. This is the worst franchise sabotage ever. No one in their right mind would continue to support this garbage studio after this many consecutive deliberate failures.
Moving on, the December update brought with it a custom games browser, and naming it V1 doesn't retract from the fact that it's clearly a beta version, joining the list of other beta features currently occupying the game. Forge beta, XP beta, and let's not forget the whole game was running off beta code months after release, and it likely still is. So this whole project is just one big multiplayer demo, siphoning real money through a free-to-play system that clearly doesn't work with the game and doesn't bring any real innovation. This is fucking disgusting. The browser itself is prone to crash or stall your system or even get you into the wrong game entirely, so it clearly needs to be fixed. Another problem here is, once you get into a custom game through this browser, you can't earn XP through custom games. So now you have to migrate back to the same old stale shitty multiplayer maps you played literally a fucking year ago if you want to progress any of the battle passes. So what you need to do here is provide a dedicated playlist called Community Creations, which exhibit the top Forge-made community created maps, given its own playlist kept separate from dev maps. And this would allow people to play community-made Forge maps whilst simultaneously able to progress the battle pass. That's how you engage with your fan base. And let me remind you that the game's base maps here are fucking god-awful. It's a chore to play the same crap a year after release. Yet these are the maps best suited for Infinite Sandbox. It's all generic 3-lane rat races, where you run around in circles no matter what game mode you're playing. Most of these maps are devoid of any strategic design or dynamic map elements that helped make each map fun and unique in the originals, complemented by the worst technological investment I've ever seen. So rudimentary, you could pull these visuals off on the 360. I'm not joking. Now, apparently, the engine 343 used to build Halo Infinite is largely based off old code from Bungie, and within that there are a set of tools called Faber, which were infamous at the studio for being buggy and difficult to work with.
The Forge tool is so strong it rivals the in-house editing tool that 343 uses called Faber. It is one of the most powerful game editing tools that has ever been released.
343's engineers often mockingly refer to its technical bankruptcy. The quote goes on to explain staffing relied heavily on outsourcing, with contract workers who were only allowed to work on the project for a max of 18 months. So there's now a constant rotation of workers playing catch up to now deliver a project they don't care about. Its creative direction was still changing unusually late into Infinite's development cycle. And if you try and tell me this has nothing to do with Bonnie Ross's female-driven focus groups and staffing or STEM campaign, you're lying to yourself. The engine Infinite was built on clearly falls short in many aspects compared to other games simply built with better dev kits. And if you look at the examples on screen, you can only imagine what DICE at EA would do with the Halo IP. This is literally the world Halo Infinite was meant to be. And I've been saying this for years. You get these dev kits on Halo, and you create a Halo game that stands the test of time. Photogrammetry, LiDAR scanning. This is technology that would add a sense of realism that would gel perfectly with Infinite Sandbox and natural environments. I couldn't think of a more competent engine other than the Frostbite 3 engine to deliver these photorealistic procedural landscapes and large-scale warfare that the Halo franchise desperately needs right now. This franchise hasn't progressed anywhere technologically since 343 took over. I've seen better effort from indie devs, quite literally, and this game was built in half the time, half the budget, and offers way more than 343's Halo. The game we got was quite literally months worths of objects just placed around to offer this bare bones, stale, lifeless, semi-open world failure, which honestly isn't even that big at all. There is literally no physics in the game's environment, combined with how broken your effects are, all contribute to the overall flatness of the whole game, making it feel like a cheap demo. Vegetation is completely static, unresponsive, or non-existent because you fall back to barren open environments, like you did with Halo 5. There is literally no water physics in the multiplayer, even making a deliberate effort to avoid water environments entirely, contrary to what was shown in your 2018 reveal. There's no large-scale ambient occlusion, so you're unable to render shadows from a distance. Your effects look like cheap PNGs slapped onto your character models, unfinished, bum-stupid NPCs, and they can't drive vehicles. The energy sword is one big PNG placeholder that doesn't radiate any light. It looks worse than the originals. Halo CE from fucking 2001 had a better collision particle system compared to this PNG crap. Your flag looks like a digital GIF animation, and once again, Bungie did it better in virtually every aspect. There's no global illumination. There's no ray tracing, which was marketed with the new console. Your explosions are underwhelming. Destroyed vehicles are underwhelming, and they literally disappear in your face in seconds. And the same problem applies to your ragdolls. Combine that problem with the lack of blood decals, which add to the stale experience. Your explosions are incapable of bouncing light into the surrounding areas, and it looks fucking weird. And there are other games that are able to do all of this without the support of over 500 million backed by the biggest tech company in the world. And I realize something like this would be CPU heavy, but for fuck's sake, Halo 3 from 2007 on the 360 does a better job here with its physics compared to 343's next-gen bullshit. In 2022, you can't just update world physics or dynamic systems like this into your game. These are complex systems that bring your world to life, so you miss out on most of this, which should have been baked into the game. So the end result again is this stale, lifeless demo because of the lack of technological investment, and your gameplay and everything surrounding it suffers from the same lackluster efforts and neglect. Mediocre and generic weapons in Sandbox, mediocre mechanics and innovation. What the fuck is this? How annoying are these mechanically constructed maps? Visually uninteresting maps, developer-made forge crap, bizarre graphical effects, PNG placeholder effects, heavy lag issues, desync issues, hit detection issues, broken game modes, missing staple core features, missing classic weapons, no new weapons, no new vehicles, no firefight mode, no infection mode, no career progression system, no assassinations, no red versus blue multiplayer, no blood decals, no playable elites, no dual wielding, no classic magnum, no classic shotgun, no map voting, no multiplayer social space, no party up system, no split screen co-op, missing core features which were given to us over a decade ago. by Bungie. This is why no one is playing this garbage. Your campaign was a complete sack of shit, so no one has an emotional connection to the game, so no one comes back to celebrate the multiplayer. So please tell me more about custom games and the Forge mode. What the fuck happened to your $500 million? All these missing features and the lack of so much more account for the driest experience I have ever seen. Shit gets stale real quick, and Forge mode did not save this game. Your scripting tools are great, but once again only cater to the minority demographic because no one has time to learn this shit. Any maps built using the Forge tools are ultimately compounded by the same lack of technological investment I just mentioned. The Faber tools you're using here are clearly compatible with the Forge mode, so objectively speaking it's like this whole game was built using the Forge tools, and this explains why your game feels so stale and lifeless. It's like it's an amalgamation of high poly models and objects, and you just slap some dynamic light on there and expect everything to look great. It's fucking incredible. I can now see why a free open source software like Unreal Engine would seem attractive to you. It's clearly a feasible option going forward with any future projects because you've blown your budget and you've screwed the code for your development tools. Dare I say you would have gotten better results with Unreal Engine. Anything outside the realms of barren, open, dystopian themed environments ultimately sets you up with difficulty. Your season 2 and 3 maps look fantastic, but again, if you try to produce a lush green jungle environment with a river, it would pose a significant challenge for the Faber tools. Now your future dev-made content all stink of the same lackluster compromise your recent maps did, playing it safe and falling back to barren landscapes once again. And you got away with this in Halo 5. But this game is supposed to be set on an entirely different world with an array of dynamic environments, and you just don't do it any justice. And we've had to put up with this low quality compromise for over a decade now. Imagine a map tailored for water combat with new vehicles like boats or hovercrafts, introducing new mechanics like swimming into Halo, which we've never had since like forever. And Bungie were fully aware of these concepts.
You might not know this, Marcus has been trying to get a boat into Halo for about 10 years now, and right? I mean, even very early on, you had a dinghy concept.
We spent 6 man-months on that thing, trying to get that thing up and running. But we actually had islands laid out that were the basic founding blocks of some of the terrain that you would explore on Halo itself. And we could actually ride boats from one of those islands to from island to island, and it actually took us about 2.5 hours to drive up, some of our maps.
Now you had one BTB map, Oasis, prepared to show us, and it looked pretty good. And I understand it's taken a lot of effort to prepare this content, including the early release of your custom games browser.
Oh, yeah. 3 months early.
QA services.
That doesn't just happen.
No,
it's a strong effort.
Yeah, super strong effort. Super excited. Like
All work in progress. As you know, season 3 comes out in March.
That is right.
So we got a few more months, but good news is those extra long seasons are a thing of the past.
They are a thing of the past.
We are getting our rhythm. We are ending the year on a high note.
Consistency.
And we want to give everyone...
This studio has a lot of work to do, and because of that I wouldn't have any sentiment to these statements considering how slow this studio operates. Remember, this is all content coming over 3 months from now, with Chasm clearly recycled from the campaign, and Cliffhanger still seems to be a Forge made pre-release. I can appreciate the transparency, and your team finally acknowledged that Forge mode needs a water solution,
giving us really good, really in the weeds feedback. Here's some key points that I've taken away from the waypoint thread. There's a lot more than just these things, but I've seen a lot of object, material, and canvas requests. Heard those loud and clear. In particular, the water object. People want to put water in our maps, and so that's something that'll be coming, I think, in season 4. Okay. It didn't come in time for season 3, but
and this is nothing special. Tons of games and engines utilize a system like this to provide at least some visually interesting water effect into their creation, and I've already seen this in Infinite's Forge mode, so this is baffling. But again, this is nothing compared to the real thing, and this is just one of many areas that 343 have failed to integrate into Halo Infinite. Your shroud screen equipment is clearly a substitute for the smoke grenade, which would fit perfectly with Halo's Sandbox, and again, it's something we've never had before. This could easily occupy occupy a grenade slot, so you could toss around as it bounces across the map, but you don't have the particle system to do this. And this would have worked great in your campaign as a way to provide dynamic cover, or signal weapon or vehicle drops. And this could operate similarly to the care package. And again, the shroud screen equipment is reminiscent of the bubble shield, which again would fit well in Infinite Sandbox. The possibilities are huge, and you haven't utilized anything I've just mentioned. The DMR is a no-scoped version of the original. Pointless changes no one asked for. What the fuck is this? Halo Infinite desperately needs real developer-made professional content. 1 to 2 maps per season every 6 months is just not enough. None of this is enough content, so you need to produce more maps as your main priority, followed by additional weapons, modes, and animations. And at the least of your concern are cosmetic options. I mean, I know for a fact ex-Bungie devs would be equally as bored with this bullshit as we are.
We are the most cynical people. Like, we are the jaded crowd who, if a game doesn't entertain us in 5 minutes, we stop playing it.
You need to get back to map packs and abandon this free-to-play crap in any future projects. Your next map, Empyrean, is a travesty. Did this really need a world premiere, which you conned people out their pockets to attend, only to present us with this Taco Bell? Are you this creatively bankrupt?
How does this new map compare to the original one?
It's pretty faithful.
Pretty faithful?
You gotta be fucking kidding.
I wonder how a group of devs come together, pick one out of the 24 iconic maps Bungie gave you to choose from. You go with the easiest one, a UNSC base, which you already have plenty of in the game. And what the fuck is this? What is this? It's a cyberpunk, neon-inspired nebula fantasy that plagued this game. What is this? People that play Fortnite are clearly building this game. This isn't professional content at all.
It's not a tumor. Not a tumor at all.
In fact, the community step in once again to show 343 how it's done with damn near the best efforts I've seen when it comes to remaking classic maps. Some of these remakes are a one-to-one replica in some cases, and this shows you how out of touch this studio is with this franchise. None of them actually know what the fuck they're doing. However, the game 343 have built here is quite literally in some cases incompatible with these classic map remakes. It doesn't matter if you turn off the modern mechanics, you'd have to rescale or adjust certain areas to accommodate for Infinite's awkward weapon sandbox and twitchy movement, and it makes for this awkward experience. This is why I continue to preach Halo Infinite needs real professional developer made quality content, and they don't have the time, money, or manpower to do the job. Now, the original games by today's standards would feel slow and stale by many, but you best believe every division in the company at the time were working in synergy to produce the best product they could, providing us with revised and rigorously play-tested maps, infused with strategic design to encourage a kind of tactical play built to support the mechanics and pickups in the game. They showcased planned design concepts and solidified that into iconic timeless maps to this day. You even have dynamic map elements to encourage players to interact with the environment. They painted and brought the experience to life in this brutalist, gritty, sci-fi, military-inspired, war-torn world with an array of environments to play with. A portfolio of an architectural genius that gels perfectly with an iconic weapon and vehicle sandbox, all brought to life with the proper physics Halo was respected for. This is what Halo is and needs to be right now. Instead, your game is designed by a group of fucking technophiles, all producing the same neon techno-crack joke maps, married to equally bullshit cyberpunk cosmetics with a list of other travesties. It's taken you 7 months to change the fucking Season 2 loading screen, referring to how long the season was, and you failed to do anything about these stupid guitar riffs that have nothing to do with Halo. This placeholder soundtrack has been a signature score of this whole multiplayer demo since launch. Get it out the game. There is also no way to pan up and down in the theater mode with controller. You have to use the Z and X key on keyboard, so it's poorly optimized for console, ignoring the whole mode is broken in the first place. You need to find a way to get this AI to shut the fuck up in multiplayer.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! That thing is dangerous!
You are an artist, and this vehicle is your brush.
No substitute for hot metal.
Spike grenades acquired. Drop wall obtained.
Oh, that's a reliable weapon right there.
I knew you were the one!
Personal AI is really a reflection and information for the player.
Don't dictate to me, man, you filthy
So if a player...
Whoever came up with this concept clearly doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. AI in multiplayer is ridiculous and annoying. Provide an option to turn it off. Your fan base have to stand back and watch as you pretty up Halo, making a joke out of the franchise with nonsensical bullshit, showcasing a complete creative bankruptcy. This studio had no choice but to collapse their restraints and listen to critical feedback from the fans to boost Infinite's morale and player base. And it's too late. A year later, they provide the game with basic primary colors, previously locked behind a paywall or grindfest, which again, Bungie gave this to us for free over a decade ago. And it's literally just a paint skin to apply to your entire body, and people are happy with this. What this system should be right now is access to the whole coatings wheel, allowing players to pick which areas on their armor they want to change, open to all primary colors as we were given over a decade ago. A year in the supposed live service game and you only have 4 armor cores which you've just sacrificed for free, and 2 battle passes which the winter update was a load of filler and is content technically designed for the Heroes of Reach battle pass. 2 battle passes to illustrate this free-to-play system just doesn't work for Halo. It is taxing the already exhausted health of your development team to come out with these high poly models, and it's not sustainable for anyone, primarily the health of the game. This customization focus is a cancer to this game. It's nauseating your players. So ultimately, you've created a live service game without this service. This free-to-play system doesn't work for Halo. We didn't ask for it, and it's clearly inspired by other games like Fortnite. You need to recognize that the game is only now just beginning. The consumer is the product, and you're so behind schedule because of this dysfunctional studio. You've only now just started clearing house, restructuring leadership. Reprehensible behavior from this studio has bred a cargo cult community of idiots that support their disasters. And at this point, it would take more than a miracle to revitalize a connection with your fan base. And that accounts for hundreds of thousands of people. Halo Infinite is the monument to 343's 10-year disaster. So if you think you can just sweep all this under the rug, you are fooling yourself. Saying you have a lot to do would be an understatement.
Sweep this under the rug. We will not rest until justice prevails for all citizens in this city. We will not rest. We will not